Hi there, my name is Alex Draper, CEO and founder of DX. I'm a member of Dave's SB Group. Asking for a little bit of help and a couple of volunteers. Well, what am I asking? So some context. The 10-year vision for DX, in EOS words, is to wipe out workplace toxicity. It used to be to wipe out bad leadership, but we reframe that to wiping out workplace toxicity, which is not good for any team or any business. When it comes to reducing workplace toxicity, we always say that the culture of a team is a mirror of its leader. As a CEO, the culture of your organization is a mirror of you. And as leaders, no matter if you lead a team of 1, 10, 1,000, there is no net neutral. Through your action or inaction, you either create or diminish value as you create or diminish culture. So the question for all of us is, well, how do we make sure that you as a leader and all of your leaders, people managers, are creating more than you're diminishing? And the most important lever for culture is you. It's senior leadership setting the right examples. And if you think about setting the right examples that do reduce toxicity, it's not about how hard you work. People don't remember you for how many PhDs you have or how intelligent you are. People always remember you for how you made them feel. And one step further, really what culture is all about is helping people feel seen, valued, and heard. Seen, valued, and heard. That's how we reduce toxicity, is creating environments where leaders help their people feel seen, valued, and heard. How do we do that? Well, that's our intellectual property called CARE. It's an acronym for Clarity, Autonomy, Relationships, and Equity. This has been recently validated that we now know that clarity, autonomy, and relationships are predictors of equity, and equity is where you get higher performance. And the more equity that you have in a team, the reduced toxicity within that team. And clarity, autonomy, and relationships are all things that leaders can control. They're leading indicators for higher performance. Equity is your lagging indicator for higher performance. So it's not another model, it's more of a playbook for higher performance. And we have work to do. 75% of workers say their boss is the most stressful part of the day. That leads to toxicity. Leadership accounts for 70% of the variance in employee engagement, and we've got work to do. So there's no what I would call perfect team. We've all got gaps. We've all got things that we can get better at. But most of the time, as leaders, we don't know, because just being part of a leader is we don't get the information that we need in order to make good decisions and create value versus diminish it. And I hope you agree that if your employee engagement goes down and there's toxicity goes up, your customers will suffer in some form or another. If you raise the engagement and reduce toxicity, the output on your customers are much happier customers. So that's sort of your business win. So we call this minding the gap. What I need help with is a piece of tech. We want to move DX to a digital format. Right now we are more of a leadership training company, but now we want to have a consulting tool and a digital tool that provides you, the owners of businesses and the leaders within them, knowledge and data to make good decisions that create and not diminish cultural value. So going back to clarity, autonomy, relationships, and equity, the difference between what leaders give their teams and what their teams actually need, the bigger the gap, the bigger the performance issues. Gaps come from communication challenges. Communication challenges come from biases and assumptions that we make. So we minimize the gaps by reducing the assumptions and improving the communication. Bigger the gap, bigger the problem. So our tool is designed to, where are your biggest gaps from leaders, people managers giving and their teams needing, and solve for those. Knowing that you can control how much clarity, autonomy, relationships that you can give your team, and the more that you can minimize the gap between those, the more that you'll achieve performance by reducing toxicity. So of course, taking this scenario, what if you had a temperature check on all of your people managers, that gave them on a regular basis, not once a year, twice a year, but on a regular basis, where their gaps were. For example, and knowing that it's a zero-sum game, you can't solve everything all the time, but what if you knew, like for this example, there was a big gap in clarity? Big gap in clarity, big problems. Let's fix that. And the tool gave you where the biggest gap was and the ideas on how to fix it. And of course, when you're fixing one thing, you've got to let go of something else, but that's okay because every team has got something to work on. So the idea of the tool is to find out where the biggest gaps are real time and give real-time analyses to fix those gaps, and continually do this and continually evolve the team as a team evolves. There's always gaps, but what if your people knew where their gaps were? But more to the fact, what happens when your team doesn't know where their gaps are and they're not solving the right issues? So this is designed to give you the data to always be adding more cultural value versus diminishing it, reducing toxicity, and improving performance. And that's what the tool is designed to do. And what we do need is a couple of incubators to help test out the early MVP of the tool. It will take limited time, and I promise you in 90 days we will level up that team. All we need is a team of between 10 and 20 with a people manager, 1 or 2 people managers, and about 10 to 15 individual contributors, so that we can see where the gaps are. We've got an assessment that will take about 10 minutes to do, and then we'll work with that team over 90 days to see if we can improve it, and then do it again and see if we've made some improvements. Right now it's about testing out whether the questions that we're asking give us the insights that we need in order to put improvement measures into that team that are immediately applicable, and to track and measure the behavior change within that team over 90 days. So just seeing if any of you guys would love to help us out and be an incubator for our new tool. Thank you. Let Dave know, and be cool if 1 or 2 of you would help us move the business forward.